Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second membership MarTech Talk with a member board. My name is Olena, and I'm founder and principal consultant at Member Board Digital Agency for professional associations and membership organizations. And today we have Sid Lal as our speaker. I'm very excited to talk to Sid because I've had the privilege of working with Sid for the last year, and it's ironically, I was preparing the report for one of my clients yesterday, and thanks to all our redesign of their website and SEO work that we've done for them, their attendance grew from 500 per month to 7,000 per month in a year. So it's absolutely amazing. And I will just, Sid is absolutely fantastic person, and you read his credentials in intro, but what I can say on a personal level, he is an amazing person. So over to you, Sid.
Thank you so much for such a kind introduction to me. I'll start off by talking a little bit about myself and the company that I represent. And then from there, we'll dig into the presentation itself, and we'll talk about some of the things associations can do to help with their SEO. Just want to confirm that you guys can see my slide deck. Olena, if you can confirm.
Yes, I can see. And also, I just would like to take to participants that you can all use the chat as a way to communication. And at the end, we will see, we will have all the question time.
Perfect. Just to let you know, some of the information in here is confidential. So we'll, if you want to use any of it, if you've taken a screenshot, just let me know, and I'll say that, hey, this is good to go. But most of it should be fine because I try to use as many public slides as possible. So just moving into a little bit about me. So I think you guys have read the intro. I have been doing digital marketing for nearly 20 years now. I started off as a traditional marketer and did lots of sales, etc. And then I converted the business that I was in, which was selling telecommunication services in the early 2000s, and converted it into an online website. And that online website actually did really well. So my first avatar actually failed, and I learned a lot from it. And then I restarted with a new site, and we were able to do massive amounts of sales because we were able to rank on Google using search engine optimization, using Google Ads. We were able to get traffic to the website, etc. So we did that. And then in 2009, I was connected with Bruce Clay, and they are one of the top SEO companies, digital marketing companies in the world. I'll talk a little bit about them as well. And they sent me to India to set up their office there. I spent about 9 years running that organization. And then they brought me back in 2018 to run Bruce Clay Australia for them. I've also done a TED Talk around digital marketing. I run webinars like this one for a lot of associations, etc. as well. If you would like to connect with me, I'm available on LinkedIn. So just look me up. And that's me. A little bit more about the company, Bruce Clay Australia. So Bruce Clay has been doing SEO since 1996. That's 2 years before Google came into the picture. We have written books on search engine optimization. So the SEO for Dummies series, those yellow books, big yellow ones. This one is 800 pages long. And I like to say that, look, if you ever want to put yourself to sleep at night, take this book up and start reading it. And I guarantee you that you'll have a good night's sleep after that. If you dream SEO, that's not my problem. And yeah, we've got a blog, which you guys, if you're interested in digital marketing and SEO, please do follow. We've got thousands of people who follow us. We train professionally. So we've trained over 5,000 marketers globally in SEO. I do these trainings myself as well. So we run both corporate trainings as well. We run some public training events. We've written a book on content marketing. So that's a little bit about us. We also have our own software. We work with clients, both big and small. So right from enterprise level Fortune 500 companies to small to medium businesses. So we do it all across the board. So I'm just now going to jump into the actual topic itself, because I know that's what you're here for, not to hear about me. So let's get into it. So it's not a long presentation, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the few different issues I have seen, which if you guys try to fix on your own, they can actually help you massively increase your own site traffic. So one of the issues that we want to talk about is bounce rates and speed. So what happens is Google really values a fast website, and not only does Google value a website which is fast, but even your own users, right? You think about it yourself. If a website takes time for it to load, you're not going to want to stick around. You're going to click the back button. And this is statistics from Google, which talk about how just a 3-second increase in the time of a page can increase the bounce rate by 30%. Now, I will tell you one thing, that these figures are probably more for the US market, where the speed of the internet is significantly faster. So I say, hey, add a couple of seconds. So if it goes past the 5-second mark, you really want to be talking about improving your page speed, etc. And these are some other stats that talk about, from big organizations, how much of an impact speed actually has on conversions, which is, sales for you guys. So Amazon has talked about how if the website page speed takes 1 second, just 1 second extra to load, they have calculated it costs them $1.6 billion in lost sales. Another one that I really love, and this is something, I never thought about it until I actually read it. Google. Why does Google only have 10 results on a page? Why not 20? Why not 100? Because they figured out, if they increased the number of search results on that first page of Google from 10 to a bit more, it takes 4/10, just 4/10 of a second. And that means they lose 8 million extra searches they could have delivered. And that means lost advertising revenue. So, you can think about it. That's how important Google, etc., values speed, right? So I'm just going to jump into a challenge that arises here. Now, what I want to talk about is, there are 2 images on your screen, right? I don't think you can make out the difference between these 2 images. It's exactly the same, if I'm right. Yeah, have a look at it closely. Do you feel there is any difference between the 2 images? I don't think so. Now, if we were in a live environment, I would have asked you these questions and got you giving me a response, but that's going to be hard here. So let me just tell you the difference. One of these images is 2 megabytes in size, 2 MB in size, and the other image is only 200 KB in size, right? So that's 10 times smaller. So this is an example from one of the associations that we were working with, and we came across these massive images on the site, and it's not just the associations. We see this in all our clients, or majority of our clients, right? And why is that important? So we talked about speed earlier. When you have a image that is 2 megabytes in size, that just takes so much time for the server to load it, for your computer to load it, for it to transfer across the internet. So having your images compressed is very important. Now, why do you come across this issue? Because what happens is, whoever you've purchased the pictures from, the photographer, etc., right? They give you the raw image, which could be 2 MBs, 3 MBs, 4 MBs large, because they don't know how you're going to use it. So they don't know it's for the web. So whoever is uploading in your team, whoever is in charge of uploading images to your site, needs to make sure that they compress the images before loading. Because like I showed you, when a human user sees that image on the web, they cannot make out the difference between that 2 MB image and the 200 KB image. But it will mean a massive impact on your site speed. So that's something you must do. And since we are talking images, I'm going to give you 2 more tips that can really help you with your rankings. So the other one is, you'll notice that whenever these images come to you, they don't have relevant file names. So, when you take, like, even when you shoot it on your own phone, you'll notice the images are numbered like IMG0091, etc. Right? So when you upload these images to your website, one of the things you must do is change the file name so that it's appropriate to whatever that image is about. And finally, you must also um, add what's called alternative text, alt text, to the image. Now, what is the alt text? Is basically for those people who use a screen reader to use the phone, to use the internet. So, think about people who are a little bit with a vision impaired. And when you do these 3 things, which is compress your images, give them relevant file names, and add alternative text, it can make a massive impact for your users on your website, and it'll help you with your website rankings. Um, the other point I want to talk about is architecture itself, your website architecture. Now, in your website architecture, remember, Google's mission is to organize all the world's information and make it universally accessible. Your mission for your website is to make sure you give this information to Google or any other search engine in as useful a format as possible. You don't want to confuse them, right? So you want to give them an organized website. Um, the way I always like to talk about it is, think about Google or any other search engine as something that is not smart. You need to give it some information that it will be able to recognize. So that should be your mission, that, hey, I don't know how smart they are. Let me give them information as useful as possible, right? So here is an example. Now, this is and I was just looking through some of the websites, and I said, hey, let me give an example. Now, the URL in this case, as you can see, is /event 414113. Now, what information does that transfer across to a user? So let's talk about 2 things. One, a user, and second, let's talk about the search engine. So the search engine, like I said, is not smart. So when they just look at this thing, event 414313, they have no idea what it is about. And that's exactly the same thing for a user. When they see that in the search engine's result page, when you go to Google, they have no idea what that is. So now, when we go to the page, you can see this event is about an online certification review. So what we tell our clients, and what we do for websites that we work with, is we reorganize the URL structure to make it more meaningful. So as an example, I've done this at the bottom of the screen, as you can see. And that same URL, we have said, hey, put it in an events folder. Then within events, let's say if you've got multiple types of events, sometimes you might have networking events, webinars, seminars, etc. Then you can create another category, which is /webinars, and then give it a meaningful name like API CS Online Certification Review. When you do that, it will help improve your click-through rates, and it will help improve your ranking, because Google will also be able to understand this information a lot better, both from the URL perspective and from the URL structure perspective as well. I'm giving you one more example of something similar. So here is another example. Now, this is with the Outdoor Media Association, and they are now in the process of fixing this as well. So as you can see over here, the URL in this case is /node4113. Now, imagine if I did not have this screenshot of the image of the website below it, and if you just saw the URL, which is /node4113, it does not convey any information to you. Is that right? There's absolutely no information being conveyed to you as a user, right? So, but now when I show you this page, what this page is about, you can see this page is about Think Outdoor, which is one of their member companies, right? And they've got a page about them. So again, I've now given you an example of what would be the appropriate URL for this. So in this case, We have organized all of these into a listing of member companies. So we have created a directory called Outdoor Advertising Marketing Company List. So it will go and sit in there. And then this one is about, since it's about Think Outdoor, we have given Think Outdoor as the final URL. So now imagine the difference when you as a user see /node4113, or if you as a user see Outdoor Advertising Company /Think Outdoor. Immediately you know what this page is about. So this is something else you can do for your own websites. Now, another issue that we come across, what happens is there is generally a lot of stakeholders within a company, right? And they all have different ideas. So in the end, the content sometimes get randomly placed in one part of the site, sometimes in another, or sometimes one marketing manager takes over from another marketing manager. And they might just delete some pages because they think that's not useful, right? Or duplicate pages get created. So these are all issues that a website runs into. Now, when you just go and delete the page without thinking about what that page is about, you will get, and you'll see this all the time, page not found, right? You've come across, every one of us has come across this page not found error. Now, the reason this is bad is A, it leads to poor user experience, right? And B, what also happens is there's actually a ranking impact for your website as well. So because a lot of times, let's say this was an event page, which because the event is over, you just deleted it. But what if there were 10 other websites that were linking to that event page because they were talking about it when that event was popular and they linked to it, and now you've just gone and deleted that page. So when those other third-party websites were linking to your website was actually getting what's called link juice, and it was sending some very important signals to Google that your site is important. And when you just deleted that page, you've taken away all that link juice, all that extra votes that were coming. So think of it as extra votes coming from third-party websites, and you've just made them disappear. Now, what can you do about it? What you can do about is stop and think before deleting the page, and think about what would be the most closest match to that page. So as an example, let's say it was an event and it's over. Think about it. Will that event be happening again? If that event will be happening again, then maybe you can create what's called an evergreen page over there. And whenever the event changes, you just update it with the latest information. In that case, you don't even need to delete the page. You'll always have that. Or if that was a one-off event, but you have got something similar that will happen in the future, then you can point it to a close match of that page. So, you have to think through what you can do about this. Finally, I'm going to talk a little bit also about content. So, and again, I'm going to talk very quickly. It's actually a very in-depth piece, but I just want to talk a little bit about why content is important, and how it's our responsibility to create fantastic content. Now, if you look at this image, we did this research about a year or so ago, and WordPress, as an example, talks about the fact that they have 500 million new posts being created every single year. 500 million. Medium, which is a specialist blog platform, has 7.5 million posts being created every year. Google has got 500 hours of video being uploaded every single minute, right? So think about how much content is coming online. Now, if you just go and add another content piece, why would your website rank for that content piece? So when you're putting in content, it's very, very important that you think about what is it in my content that's going to make it stand out? How do I make it more useful for my users? How do I make sure that content has got something that's got oomph in it? Like it could be you add infographics to it, you can add some videos to it, you can think about your niche, right? And the final bit I want to talk about, because I realize that Olina will be saying, hey, it's about a 15-minute seminar and that's about time to finish off. So this is the last piece I'm going to talk about, which is your valuable content that you are spending time creating. A lot of times I notice associations put this valuable content on third-party platforms. So, that third-party platform could be something like a wild apricot. So in this case, I'm talking about AMI, Austrian Marketing Institute. We work with them as well. And one of the things we noticed was that they were doing all these events, and they do so many events. So imagine the amount of content being created, but this content was being placed on a third party site. So that you can see from the URL, it says memberhub.ami.org.au. So when you have that kind of that's called a subdomain. So basically this information has gone and sat on a different website. So now basically what we have done with MemberBoard, in fact, Olina actually was the one in charge of doing this actual changeover. And you now notice in the next one I'm going to show you that it's the exact same presentation about that event. But this time, look at that URL carefully up the top. It's ami.org.au/events/social media clinic. And look at the clean URL structure. And we have kept all the traffic on the website itself. So that's something else. Like, look, there are many other issues I can talk about, but these were just some of them that I thought you guys can think about and try to fix for your websites, and that should really help improve SEO for your sites. I think, Olina, I can
Yeah.
stop over here.
Thank you so much, Sid. And the message that I'm trying to convey to my clients over and over again, SEO is not as scary as it may sound, because sometimes you go to these, SEO check websites, and I actually drop in our chat, I dropped one of the link that you can use right now. Put URL of your website now to check your speed and all the issues that you may have with the website, including the size of the images, and it will actually show you the images that are bigger than they should be. But sometimes it has this, cleanup SSS code, and people just start to be really scary of, and oh no, this is not for me. But with this little tiny, really easy to implement steps, you can really dramatically improve your SEO, and they're not as technical as they may sound.
That's
Now
right.
it's a Q&A time, and I do encourage you to ask questions and use this time with Sid as much as possible. We do have one question from Paul from the College of Intensive Care Medicine in Australia and New Zealand, and he asked, is it best to use a schema.org for optimizing the sites, or is there any other reliable source to utilize instead?
Okay. So what he's talking about is schema. Slightly technical over there, but not like we said, nothing to be scared of. So what is schema? First of all, schema is not there for human users. That is for the search engine, right? And one of the things we have to think about is search engines have started to get more and more advanced and developed over the last many years. So they're now using things like artificial intelligence and big data to improve their understanding of the website. So what schema does is it gives information within the code of the website about what that particular page is about, right? And there are literally hundreds of schemas out there. That it could be event listing schema, it could be review schema, rating schema, or if it's like a restaurant page, it could be have recipe schema. So there's lots of schemas, right? But for member associations, let me put it this way, one of the best schemas would be the event schema, etc. So you can have that. Now, what you can do, one is you can go to schema.org to see all the different schemas that are available and see which one would be apt for your website. And the other one is I'm going to give you a tool, and you can just go to Google. So it's not hard. Just go to Google, type in developers.schema testing tool, right? So developer schema testing tool, and you should come up with a tool from Google called developers or schema/schema. And then you just copy paste your URL into that, and it will immediately tell you whether you have schema on your website, if it's missing, what is the issues over there. So you can just look it up and do it. But yeah, schema.org would be the place to go to find out what are all the different schemas available.
That's great. Sid, another question that I personally have, and your way around, with your suggestion about that. I often see associations hide really valuable content and reports and something in the member only area. And I understand that they are trying to protect their content and create this extra value for their members. But at the same time, I can see how much SEO value is buried into this member only area. What would be your recommendation, and what would be the way around this?
Okay, it's actually something that you guys share with newspaper websites as well. So they have this same thing, and they and different websites take different approaches to it, right? So you'll see as an example, Australian Financial Review. A lot of times when you try to click on their articles, it won't allow you to read through them, etc. Right? So what you have to think about is maybe you can display a little bit of that article on the page. So you display a part of that article on the page. So don't just hide everything behind the login, which no one can see. So my suggestion would be, have it open, display a part of that article, so at least they can read and they get a flavor of it, right? Like a lot of times authors do it. They'll give you a free chapter of the book in order to read the rest. And if you like it, then you'll read through it, right? Another thing that you'll notice sometimes, like newspapers will do, they'll give you, for example, 5 free articles a month, so there are ways around it. And that's probably the best way to do it. Like, don't hide, like Olena, you just mentioned, don't hide all that information behind the members login section. And maybe you can even do it selectively. So depending on what it is, right? You could maybe selectively say, okay, you know what, this part everyone can have, and this part not everyone can have. So there's different ways to approach it, and I think we need to look at it on a case to case basis.